please. So this section now is going to be on introducing some of the entrepreneurship support services, and also we'll have a talk about an introduction to the Venture Cup. So if you've got your questions, it's a really good opportunity to get them out to Mikkel today. Ask him about the themes, ask him about everything you want to know about the competition, ask him about the judges, whatever it may be. One thing I've noticed in being around people like Mikkel and Jakob is Copenhagen area at the moment seems to be quite thriving for these support networks for entrepreneurship and innovation. There seems to be a lot of emphasis on getting new startups, getting new businesses going. So it really seems like a nice place to be right now for this type of thing. You can see them trying to emulate things of Silicon Valley nature. There are tons of these support networks, innovation hubs, foundations to support and give you money and resources towards starting up your new business. We've got a list on this website here. So this is on the course website, but if you find any more, you can go to this page here and add to this list, and we'd really appreciate that. But we've made a list of some of the important ones that we've recognized so far. And you can get things from the commune, such as startup courses, in other words, courses on how to start up a business. Obviously, the Ventures Cup, providing startup money. Next generation, proof of concept money for student entrepreneurs. So as long as you've got a drive and a team together and a concept that you want to build on, there seems to be money and support networks available. And the other thing I'd notice is these startups seem to occur together. They all occur within networks. So it's no coincidence that so many startups come from Silicon Valley. They thrive off each other. They learn from each other constantly. So it'd be very nice if we can create this open dialogue between the groups. Don't hold your intellectual property too close to you. It's a safe area. But also get out and go meet some of these people. Some of the networking events they put on are really terrific, and they've got some great advice. Here's a few more. Because Jakob works in the clean tech industry, he found a couple here specifically related to the clean tech industry, and I'm sure depending on what theme you submit to, you can get more specialist support services in that area. I went to a Stardust event just a few days ago, really good, like-minded people like yourselves, wanting to start up new businesses, have new ideas. They have constantly having keynote speakers come in describing the process of how they started up new businesses in the area. So you should be able to learn from them. And I think Stardust is it a CBS?
Yeah.
Okay.
You also have DTU.
Also DTU, okay. And then alongside business startups, there's also these social ventures support services. So it's not just about producing startups to create new money, but also perhaps you want to start up a new initiative to improve well-being or welfare, or maybe to improve education in your area, but not necessarily for financial gain. So there's these various services associated with that. For example, the Copenhagen Hub and CPH projects offer you office space, which is a really useful thing if you need to pin up your ideas, have a regular meeting point for your group. You can get in touch with these people. But of course, the most important one at the moment for us is Ventures Cup, or Venture Cup, I should say. So can I pass on to you? Yep. Just a little introduction. Mikkel is the regional manager. So is that covering just the Copenhagen area?
Greater Copenhagen, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I was the lucky one who could meet in a bit late. As Thomas said, I work as the regional manager in the Copenhagen office at Venture Cup. We're located close to CBS in Hovisvej in Frederiksberg. I'm here to tell you a bit about what we do at Venture Cup, why I'm here. We're doing a partnership, obviously, with this course. So basically, Venture Cup is a non-profit organization helping young entrepreneurs, helping and inspiring them the way we can. At Venture Cup, we believe there's a huge talent pool among the Danish students at the universities. In the modern society, where knowledge seems to be our main competitive capacity, at least in Denmark and the Western world, it seems rather logical to be looking for you bright minds in the search for the ideas and the startups and the successful companies of tomorrow. Of course, we're quite aware that not all the ideas that come to Venture Cup will actually turn into high-growth businesses. But what we do see is that some of these ideas that you turn into our Venture Cup competition, that you turn up with at our office for getting guidance, they actually do become startups, and some of these startups actually do become successful businesses that create jobs, that create our welfare system, basically. So, as I see, that's why we're here, to solve some of the challenges that our society is facing. We do that in different ways. We try to help guys like you with a corps of advisors. We have right now, I think, 47 advisors related to Venture Cup from different industries. So we can match them up with teams like yours, find a good advisor that can support you on your way in developing your idea. We also do a lot of workshops. We have pitch training workshops. We're going to do one for you later this year. We also have business writing camps and idea generation workshops and so forth. And very important is actually that we have a huge, huge network. Of course, we do that. We have a network in the academia at DTU, CBS, and University of Copenhagen. But more importantly, we have a huge network in the private sector and in the public sector as well. So out in the professional businesses, we have, I think right now we have 200 jury members actually, all being professional, quite bright people. These will be the people that will be judging your ideas when submitting an idea. But it's also some of the people that we can show good cases to. And it also includes investors and professionals from businesses. So it's kind of bridging the gap between, as I see it, the gap between university and academia and the actual real world. And third, we're located, as I said, on the Copenhagen School of Entrepreneurship, where we have a lot of these organizations that from the support system, which you just saw before. So we work quite close with some of those organizations. And furthermore, we have right now 70-something young startups sitting just outside our door. So we have like a row of offices, and then there's like one big main open office where we, Copenhagen School of Entrepreneurship, they offer free workspace for young entrepreneurs. So there's just basically a lot of desks out there and young people sitting, working with a startup project. And I think that is quite important because some of the challenges you face when you're starting up something new, a lot of other people have faced the same problems. And sometimes I think the best way to learn is actually just to talk to some of the guys who did that half a year ago, found out, okay, where do I find someone who knows something about marketing? Where do I find my next designer? Where do I find my next programmer or product developer? And of course, very central to what we do, what we're best known for, are our 2 annual competitions. We have our idea competition, which is running right now, actually. We are having the 4th final today in Aalborg. I'm the only one not being there because I'm here. And the 5th final and the last will be on this Thursday in Aarhus. So that's the idea competition. We also have the startup competition, which has slightly higher entry barriers, and which will be the one that you will be participating in. So how are we able to do all this for free? As I said, we're a non-profit, so of course we're paid to do this as our salary, but we're not earning as a company, and we're not earning any money. We can do this because of our sponsors. We have a lot of sponsors, which also are the people that are advisors and jury members in our competition. Some of the big companies in Denmark. We also, of course, have the universities. They all pay a membership to us, so they're members of Venture Cup, basically. We are the university's startup competition. But more importantly, besides the money, of course, which are important, then they support knowledge for Venture Cup, because they are the ones that give advice. They are the ones that connect you guys to Novo Nordisk, or you guys to Bang & Olufsen or Vestas or whatever it is. So the purpose are actually twofold. Okay, just a quick word about the startup competition. Basically, you participate by entering 10 to 15 pages. It's a business plan. It could be a business plan competition. So you enter a business plan on 10 to 15 pages. And we have 5 categories that I'll go through in just a moment. But there will be a winner within each of the categories. And the winner will win 50,000 Danish kroner. And furthermore, there's one overall winner, and they get additional 200,000 kroner. So that's 250,000 kroner for the winner, which potentially can be one of you guys. I hope so. You need to remember to submit it in May, but we'll get back to that, and Tom will tell you. Of course, besides from the money, I think actually the main value for you guys is the feedback you'll get and the network you can get from participating. Because when you submit an idea, besides from, of course, you'll get some feedback from your examen here, there will be at least 3 jury members. 3 jury members from some of these businesses I showed you before, some of the companies. 3 jury members that will give you individual feedback on your idea. And I think that is so much worth that feedback, because this is the investor or your future employer sitting and telling, okay, this part we really like, but this would be very hard for us to implement, or this would be a problem for us to go invest in this project. So I think the feedback is quite great. We also have the idea competition, which is not relevant right now, but it runs in the fall. And basically there you just describe a business idea, so it's an idea competition, not a startup competition. You just describe your idea in 2 to 3 pages. You get evaluation and feedback from the jury, and you win 25,000 kroner, but that's in the spring. Fall. Okay, the categories. As I said, we have 5 categories, and there's a main prize in each category. The first one is clean tech and environment, dealing with energy efficiency, waste management, pollution reduction, and so forth. We also have life science and medtech, and actually we held the final at the Oticon right here like 2 weeks ago in this category for the idea competition. It's the same 5 categories. We had Orphezyme as keynote speakers. They're dealing with rare diseases. Anders Bjarklev was out opening, your principal. Life science and medtech, our second category. Mobile and web, that's a pretty big category, a lot of submissions, that one. Dealing with web services and apps and new technologies in that area, augmented reality, near-field communication, and so forth. Then we have people and society, and that is actually our biggest category right now, because that also includes social entrepreneurship. So it's not all about the money. It's about, as I see it, creating value. But that value can also be value in society. It could be the value that a school project in Africa generates. So people and society is quite a big category. And actually, we had the final of that last week, and I think out of the 8 finalists, I think three of the ideas were social entrepreneurs, basically. The last one seems quite relevant here today, product and technology, industrial design devices, hardware, nanotech, and so forth. So these are the 5 categories. when you submit your idea, you need to choose one of them. If we pre-screen all the ideas when they get in. So if we see one idea that we think is quite good, but really has been misplaced by you guys, we will, of course, move it from one category to the other if we think that they would have a better opportunity and be judged better by the jury in the other category. But basically, of course, it's you that decide which category you want to put your idea in, because often it can be somewhere between two categories. So what will the jury be looking for? Of course, we need you guys to tell us something about the product and the service. So what is the background for this idea? What is the problem your customer is facing? The customer pain in CBS language. And how do you deal with that problem? What is the painkiller? And we would like to know, of course, what is your value proposition? How do you create value for your customer or your user? It can also include a bit on IPR, intellectual property rights, if you have any thoughts on that. Then there's the market, the customer. How does the market look? And how does your typical customer look? Of course, quite important. Market size, growth, geography, and these matters. A bit about the industry and the competition. Could there be any strategic partners in the industry? How does the competition look? And are you different from all your competitors? How are you basically going to beat them, be better than them? They always say that the investors in Silicon Valley, they focus on three things, and it's team, team, and team. So this one is quite important, basically. All your thoughts on your team. What are your competences within that team? Are they cross-disciplinary? And most teams won't be perfect, of course. So it's also which kind of competences would you need to bring this idea further on. To realize this idea, you might need a guy who knows something about marketing, a designer, a programmer, whatever, a business developer, I don't know. But it's just very important to be aware of these things. So something about your competences and your lack of competences. If there's any, and this might not be relevant for all of you, but it could also include thought on how the organization is going to be developed and built, the structure of the organization. Money and feasibility. So this is not the budget part, but it's more about funding. How are you going to create funding, and how does your business model look? Do you sell an device and then it's basically that, or do you sell the device and then have disposables like a razor with blades afterwards? Do you have a sale with after sales, follow-up? How does your business model look? Is it rental? And yeah, every kind of business model, basically. And the feasibility could include risk analysis. So what are your main concerns? What can kill your business, and what can bring it forth? So how likely is it that some competitor will get ahead of you and develop another idea before you do? And how much will it actually damage your business? So risk analysis. Implementation. So how do you plan to implement your idea? So it's not, this should only be described in a few pages, but the implementation is quite important because it tells the jury something about where are you right now and your thoughts on where you're going. So what's the perspective? And of course, the budget. It's supposed to be a quite simple budget, no more than a page or so. But it's nice to know, to have an idea of what you think the cash flow will look like the first year, the first 2 years. So what expenses will there be in starting up your business, and how will the cash flow be? Okay, a bit about the cooperation between Venture Cup and the course here, Thomas' course. All your teams will be offered an advisor. I told you about the advisors early on. All of you can actually get one. All you basically need to do is, in March, Tom, I'll leave my email, of course, and I'll be back here at the course. But the teams who are interested in an advisor can just basically email me with a short description of the idea you are working with, and then we'll match you up with an advisor that will come and have a session or two with you guys. We just did it in the idea competition, and I think that almost all the teams in the final, because normally it's just the teams in the final that get an advisor, but you guys will all get one. And I think it created really a lot of value for the teams, because it was all the inside knowledge from the industries. So I think that this really brought the teams forward. We'll do a pitch training session, which will be quite relevant for your exam. And of course, also, if you make it for the finals, you will also do a pitch. We'll do it April 10th, and we'll do a short workshop there. I'll tell you something about pitching, investor pitching, and we'll do a workshop where all you guys are trained. And then, of course, if you have any questions that you don't ask me right now, but you find out that you wanted to ask me in just a while, then you just contact me. Could also just be, if you want to know more about Venture Cup, feel free to drop by my office for a cup of coffee. I'm just going to run through some examples of ideas from our 2 competitions. Bucky O'Sun, really, really weird and catchy name. But the 2 girls from Aarhus, I think, were quite young. They won one of the category prizes in the idea competition. And basically, they came up with an idea to enclose ozone molecules in a compound, which could be used to protect products against UV radiation, of course, also protect against skin cancer. But they were quite young. I think they were like 20 or so. So, of course, they didn't have the actual product. They just had an idea to a product. And they participated in this idea competition, and they made it to the finals, and they actually won. So that was quite impressive. But what was even more impressive was that one of our sponsors and jury members is Seed Capital, quite a big venture capital and seed capital. They actually decided that they wanted to fund these guys to try out their idea, bring it further. So they gave them 2.6 million kroners to pursue the idea. So they did quite well. These 2 guys came up with an idea for an icon finder search engine, basically for designers and architects, a search engine for icons. And then they won the web prize last year in the startup competition, the one you're participating in. This guy you might know, he's out here. I keep seeing his face on posters out. They like his story. He did quite well. Rasmus, he was the overall winner last year's startup competition. Excuse me. Too much water. Well, Jesus. Can you say something, Tom? Okay. Okay. Oh, yeah. Nice. I think right now they're called Black Silicon Solar. And as I said, he won the overall prize of 250,000 kroners. His idea is a nanostructured coating for solar cells, which improves the energy efficiency, basically. Of course, I'm not from DTU, so basically I don't get it. I just know that it's very, very black and nanostructured. But anyway, he's doing quite well. And he just won the Danish Clean Tech Open, actually, afterwards. Went to Silicon Valley, had a lot of meetings there, and did quite well in the international clean tech competition. He didn't win, unfortunately. Okay, besides from what I told you about, we have other things going on in Copenhagen. We do some big events. We had Shai Agassi, the founder of Better Place, those electric cars. They actually produce the batteries for the cars. He was out talking about how do you attract venture capital. It was quite interesting. Of course, we invited all our friends and all the participants in Venture Cup. Well, he did a really, really great speech on how to get venture capital in Silicon Valley. And he should be the one to know because he actually raised, I think it was $760 million before he had a product. So he's quite good at it. We also had Niklas Sundström out, the founder of Skype, telling his story. Then we do a partnership with academic courses like this one. We also do partnership with the Bio-Business and Innovation Program. And then, of course, we participate in a lot of external workshops and events, like the Entrepreneurship Goes Green you had out here. That water really killed me. Our alumni club is quite cool. Everyone that participates get offered to be a part of our alumni club. And basically, so you'll get invitation to these big events, but also smaller networking events we do. Just some bragging figures, I guess. We did a survey this summer, so it's actually already a bit old, that showed that our alumni, that would be the guys and girls participating in our competition, had actually created more than 700 new jobs. That's 800 now, I think. They raised more than 300 million kroners for their projects. I think our alumni has an annual revenue of more than 500 million Danish kroner right now. And in average, they are filing 52 patents a year, that one each week, which I think is quite impressive. So some of the benefits you guys will get from participating, you'll get the network, both to other young entrepreneurial-minded students and researchers, but also to the industry. You'll get feedback from your idea. Of course, you'll get it from Tom and all the guys at the course, me, but you'll also get it from the industry. And of course, the money. The money. You can win a lot of money, and that's always nice. So how do you submit? Basically, you don't need to remember this part. I'll just go through it, but you will be reminded, of course. You write your business plan, and you upload it in May on venturecup.dk. So there will be a guidance. You need to fulfill something called U-Noodle in there, but you'll be guided all the way through the process. So it shouldn't take more than 10 minutes. And while I'm here, I would like to invite you all, if you want to see more what we do at Venture Cup, if you want to see some of the partner organizations, the support system, if you want to meet some of the young entrepreneurs I told you about, we have like 2 events a month at Copenhagen School of Entrepreneurship. The next one is February 8th, something called Copenhagen Wednesday. There will be a keynote speaker, and there will be some free beer and some networking, and usually quite good fun. So basically, if you want to meet some of these people, just show up. You can go to Copenhagen School of Entrepreneurship's homepage, find them on Facebook, and just sign up there. So Wednesday, 4 o'clock. And I think this slides desk will be uploaded somewhere so you can get my information. Otherwise, it's here. So if you have, during this course, you have any questions about your idea or the participation or whatever, you should all feel free to contact me. I'd love to answer. I'd love to have a cup of coffee. But for now, are there any questions? Tom beat me by 1 question. Oh, yeah, yeah.
How is Venture Cup recognized
How it's recognized internationally? Well, it exists in 4 Nordic countries, in Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland. But we also have cooperation with the Innovation Center Denmark in Munich and in Silicon Valley. So we were actually, when Rasmus got to the final in Silicon Valley, we were actually with him over there because we do have some connections. But of course, we are mostly known in the Nordic countries. And we have, as I said, we exist in 4 Nordic countries, but we have different boards. So we're sister organizations. We're not one organization. Any more questions? Normal, you guys would ask me, what about my idea? Won't you just steal it, or won't the jury just steal it? You have 200 jury members. Of course, all our jury members, all Venture Cup staff, all advisors, all sign non-disclosure agreements, which mean basically they can't run away with the idea, and you don't poor your chance of getting a patent later on. So, of course, everyone has signed NDAs. Any more questions? Tom?
How proven does your solutions have to be? For example, can you propose a concept for a web app, but you're not able to program it?
Well, I would say this is one of the main difference between the idea competition and startup competition. You need to be a bit further at the startup competition anyway to get to the finals, I would say. But of course, you don't need to have actually started up. So it's potential startups, I would say. But of course, if you have an idea to something, but you have no clue how to come there to actually do it, and you have no one in your team with those skills, you will poor your chances. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Just to let you, or make you aware of some of the typical bits of software you might use. Microsoft SharePoint is one. Project is a little bit more lightweight. It might be more suited to your needs. Then, of course, we're probably all familiar with things like LinkedIn, Facebook at the moment. But myself and Jakob, when we were looking around for something suitable for the course, we found this website called Podio. Has anybody heard of Podio before? Do you use it?
I have used it for project management.
And how do you feel it would be suited to this?
I think it's perfect.
Okay.
It's difficult to have another platform than the other 5 platforms you use for project management, like CanvasNet and all that. But if you collect all your stuff there, it's
Okay.
We actually use it at Venture Cup.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, we do.
Perfect then. So, I'd recommend that you go onto this. I think you can have a free account for certainly your group size of 5. So here's one I created for innovation and product development. So you can go on there, you can sign in with your Gmail account, and then you can create your work group. And it has things, well, in fact, I'll just show a small video of it now. But you can also invite people to join your work group and so on. So if you do use Podio, it'd be I very much appreciate it if you could invite myself and Jakob to your group, if that would be okay.
Let's meet a typical company. We'll call it Payment Corporation.
Be careful with that.
Payment are tired and overworked. They get too many emails and don't know what the others are doing. And everyone asks the manager for things. Tom wants project management software, while Laura at HR wants an intranet solution. And Harry in sales wants a CRM system. With so many people in so many places using so many tools, work at Painting is pretty painful. Meanwhile, on the other side of town is another company. We'll call this company Pleasure Incorporated. At Pleasure, everyone is on Podio. They use it as a social intranet so they can communicate easily, even with people outside the company. Jill uses Podio to run her marketing campaigns. with a special app that manages campaign projects, manages the people, and manages the milestones. It even pulls in reports from her email campaign. Peter in HR has an app that captures all job applications from the website. Each application is automatically assigned to one of his staff, so you can use the task manager to keep track. Mary in sales uses Podio to manage her leads. She found a CRM app in the Podio App Store. The Podio App Store has hundreds of free apps. And on the road, she still has access to Podio with up-to-date information. And the manager doesn't have to do a thing. Anyone can tweak the Podio app to suit the way they work. Who knows better what they need than the people actually doing the job? Yes, work at Pleasure Inc. is much easier. Work is structured and connected. And employees spend less time and less money getting stuff done. They have time for other things. They're also smarter and better looking. So if you want a happy work life, get your work connected. Get Podio.
So yeah, if you fancy participating in a little experiment to see how this goes, I haven't seen anything that, well, I haven't been exposed to anything yet which provides that kind of networking side and also the data management side like that appears to. And also it might be good training for if this particular venture doesn't work, maybe you'll go on to something bigger in the future, and maybe Podio might be something, platform that more people are familiar with. So it's probably not a bad thing to get to know anyway. Now, I think we've got to broach the issue of teams at some point. It's such a vital part of this course that you have a well-functioning team, that you work well together, and that you enjoy the time in your team. So I'd just like to, to leave it open to the floor now to say, does anybody have any particular concerns that they'd like to raise? And they can do it now before they're joined in a group and before they're put with people they're worried about being with or concerned about anything. You're welcome to voice it now. To let you know how I'm planning on putting together the groups, I've sent around a competencies questionnaire to you. Last time I checked, I think 80% of you had filled it out. And it basically saying, where do your competencies lie and your skills lie? And also, where are you interested in submitting? And I hope to form rough groups around mixed competence groups, but also with common interests on where you'd like to submit your business idea. So hopefully we'll have a group which is all interested in submitting to the clean tech branch with all different competencies to kind of support and work with each other. Now, one group has already registered their own group. So if you've got a set 5 people, there needs to be 5, no more, no less. If you've got 5 people that you really want to work with, you can register yourself a group here. But as Mikkel said, you're basically partly evaluated on the diversity of your group. So there's no point in just all being from the same section or department. You probably won't progress very far. So we're kind of offering a service in a way to try to make sure you've got the diversity in your group that you need. Go ahead.
How big should the groups be?
5. So I would like every group to aim for 5, and I think based on the number of people we have on the course, there might be 1 or 2 groups with 4 people in it. But I'd like you to all aim for 5 people in a group. On the lecture page today, you'll find the Belbin team roles test. So I'll be using that sort of competence and skills questionnaire to try form the groups. But then what I've done in the past, which has been, I thought it was quite useful, was people wrote their Belbin test, took their Belbin scores, and then when you sit down for the first time amongst your group, you just present your Belbin scores to each other. So people know what type of person you are, how you think, and they maybe can cater their discussions with you towards your kind of personality type. Now, it's certainly not an exact science. It's not anything to form an opinion about someone on, but it may help explain certain things or certain communication barriers. So what I'd like you to do for your homework, your assignment for Friday, if that's okay, try complete a Belbin test and then submit it to your group and present it to your group on Friday. And it's not for your benefit, but if you'd like to be generous and submit your Belbin scores to this point here, it might be useful for our research in the future. But of course, that's up to you, and it will be completely anonymous if you do that. I saw a couple of groups last year, and some of them were incredibly well functioning, completely different parts of the university. Really interesting to see how they progressed. And some others were quite homogeneous, but really didn't get on well at all. And I really think it's partly to do with the starting point. So you really need to, in this first week or two, try do some things to make communication a little bit easier. Maybe go out for a drink with each other, or just kind of try to relax, play a few games, do something together other than just focus on the research and the work. Because it is important you get to know each other and you enjoy each other's company so you can progress this project. Just to give you a kind of little bit of background into some of my interests and where I come from. I come from a country called Wales, and our national sport is rugby. And for about 120 years now, every year Wales play against England, play against Ireland, play against Scotland in the Six Nations Championship. And there's a lot of rivalry between these teams. They basically pretty much hate each other. But strangely, every 4 years, they come together and they form the Great British Lions, and then they have to go on tour together. And they go on tour to play some of the best teams in the world, such as New Zealand All Blacks or the South African Springboks, or sometimes go to Australia as well. And they basically have 2 weeks where they'll be doing a bit of training, but it's basically starting to learn to love each other and put up with each other. And they put so much emphasis on the team bonding aspect of the British Lions, making sure they respect each other and learn to play together. And I really like this speech by the forwards coach of the Lions, so I thought I'd play it you before the break. It's a bit gratuitously indulgent. And he's also a Scottish coach, so you might not understand a single word he's saying.
They don't rate us. They don't respect us. They don't respect you. They don't rate you. The only way to be rated is to stick one on them. To get right up in their faces and turn them back, knock them back, outdo what they can do, out-jump them, out-scrum them, out-back them, out-drive them, out-tackle them, until they're fucking sick of it. Remember the pledges you made. Remember how you depend on each other. You depend on each other in every phase, teams within teams, scrums, line-ups, ruck balls, tackles. They are better than you've played against so far. We are better individually, or they wouldn't be there. So it's an awesome task you have. It will only be done, as I say, if everybody commits themselves now. That was written yesterday.
So that's one of my favourite speeches. But I'd like you, if you can, bear that in mind for what it is. Think about your team when you sit down. Think that some of those people in your team might be really ambitious, might want to really succeed. And you not turning up to some of the lectures or some of the group work sessions or not pulling your weight will hold your teammates back. So really consider the group's interest when you're put together in your groups on Friday. Unless you have any questions, I think we'll take 15 minutes break.
I have a single question. I filled out this paper yesterday, and I filled out that I wanted to do, let's say, products, because I'm a mechanical engineer, so it's more that straightforward, but I'm also interested in doing clean tech. So I have like 2 things I want to go, but I wasn't able to put on 2.
Okay.
Is that a possibility you can?
I believe there was a comments or notes section at the end. Yeah, it might help. But if you send me an email, I can maybe add it onto it. Now, this is not going to be an exact science, as I say, and I really haven't set yet whether I want to do it as a networking event where I just kind of give you different colored tags and say, all right, find yourselves a group. But I'm really kind of tending towards the idea of forming your groups for you. Now, unless anybody has a real objection to that, I think that's the way I'm going to progress. So, go ahead.
If we have a group, can we still stick with that if we are fine?
Yes. Yeah.
We will respect that.
Yeah, oh, yes, absolutely. I can't force anyone to go in a group, but like that's why I've given you the option to form your group beforehand. But obviously, once we get to Friday and the groups are formed, we haven't got time then to go back and reform the groups. You've got to get moving with your business ideas. At the back.
For example, like you already know that you want to. What about if, for example, you already know that you want to work like with one person? I mean, you know that person, but you don't know three other guys here, three other people. How can you, like, for example, say, yeah, I want to work with that person. I already know it. We have similar thoughts, but the other three can be random.
Okay. So you're friends with the top in the year, are you? Sorry? You're friends with the person who's top grade in the year. Is that the issue? No, on the competency submission, you can put a note, and if you say you really want to work with somebody, I'll respect it and try to work that into the equation. Yeah, the grouping is really not to piss you off. I'm trying my best to do it as a service. Any more questions? Okay, if we take a 15 minutes break then and be back about 20 past, quarter past, something like that.